Alright guys, welcome to this week's mini vlog. I decided to upload some of the raws from my writing lesson this past week so that you guys could see what we worked on and kind of what Happy and I look like in our lessons. I decided to remove all of the audio just because I don't really have permission to post it, and my trainer also said she doesn't like the way our voice sounds. So I figured I would do voiceovers of what we're working on and then just have music otherwise. So in this particular start to our lesson, we just started with walking back and forth on the short side of the arena and getting him to bend off of my inside leg. And then once we got that going, we started with a posting trot. So a lot of the work that we've been doing in our last like 2 lessons is to get him to slow his front legs down and sit more on his hind end. I've been doing that mostly with doing sitting trot and trying to get him more back onto his hind end in that way. But we've also just been working on trying to slow my post and trying to slow everything down a little bit so that he will step shorter but lift more. So that's kind of where we started with this first part of the lesson, just getting warmed up. And also I smacked him because we are also working on getting him to be quick to the response to my leg. So we worked on jumping in this lesson, obviously, and she said basically if he doesn't respond within an instant of you asking for him to give you more, it's already too late if you're asking at the base of a fence or at the other side of a fence. So we did work on that today too as well, which is if I ask with my leg and you don't give me anything, then immediately I have to get after you. And after like the second time of doing that, Happy was like, oh, I get it, okay, and stopped being so slow to respond. But that was kind of the beginning of our warm-up in this ride, and just getting him off my leg and getting him moving forward, and then also trying to get him to get his hind end under him a little bit better and his front end out of the way. Another exercise that we do quite a bit in our lessons is this, where we will cut the corner short and then leg yield all the way back to the rail. It has a lot of benefits for Happy. It's made him want to be on the rail more, but it's also helps to get him under his body, and it makes lateral work, for me at least, a lot easier. I know I used to do a lot of lateral work with my other trainer, but it was always down the quarter line when you would come off the rail. So out of a corner like here, I'd cut the quarter line and then I would leg yield. I always found that very difficult, but for some reason around the corner, it's easier for my eye to see, and it's easier to push him into a leg yield and to the rail. So we do a lot of that in our lesson. We do that at the trot, and we do it at the canter as well. And then we do a lot of circling. So she was having me circle and just get him get that inside hind under and just be listening to the bend, and then of course we cut and then go do the leg yields. And then we come to the walk here and we work on turn on the haunches. So the first one I did my normal turn on the haunches, where I basically just let him do a small circle, and that was definitely not what she had asked me to do, so she asked me to do it again, and this time actually stop his hind end and have his front end step over. So that's what I did coming up now, which was admittedly kind of hard for him. So I felt like he couldn't figure out where to put his feet, but it'll definitely be something that we work on more. I don't really work on it very much because, as you can see, it's just confusing to him and it's hard for me to get him. But this one was much better. He had a little bit of a confusion there, but then she asked me to go right back into posting trot, and he really was like right on it and ready to go out of it. So we'll definitely start incorporating that into our flat work rides between lessons so that we can get him understanding a little bit more the movement of his legs for that particular exercise, and then just helping him more to be on his hind end. Okay, and then here is where she asked me to start asking him for more extension. So extending down the long side of the arena and then collecting at the corner. And I don't know if I do a circle here. I think I do. So do a collected circle at sitting trot and then I think from here she said to pick up the canter, but basically we actually started working on extensions and collection, which we haven't done in any of our lessons just because Happy's not been capable of it, but he definitely was ready for it at this lesson. And then we did our trot to canter, which I haven't done a lot of trot to canters in a long time. And if we remember correctly, Happy used to toss his head and hollow his back when he did that. So I think a lot of our walk to canter transitions have helped a lot with that. And then again, we were extending down the long side and then coming to the corner to collect a little bit. I don't think we did a circle in this corner, but it was just more of like bend and collect and push him over into a leg yield and then ask for him to give me a little bit more of canter extension down this long side, which I have never seen Happy do a canter extension, so it might not be impressive to most people, but it's very impressive to me to watch. So there, I had asked him to move off my leg, and he did not, so I gave him a little tap, and he was very upset about that. And then we went into a forward trot from the canter, which is also something I've been working on the flat, but something that we do in our lessons just to make sure that he's moving forward and not just collapsing in a heap when we do downward transitions. I think from here we changed directions and we're going to do a right lead canter, which for some reason on this day my right lead canter was really bad. I find it very odd because the day before I rode just to get him out and warm him up and his right lead canter was on fire. It was amazing, but on this day he just was really struggling to keep the cadence right, and then he kept swapping behind, and it was just really kind of embarrassing, honestly, but I wanted to leave this in so that everyone can see who does watch these, who has a standard bred, that yes, Happy does indeed pace, and I do indeed deal with this. I would say at least once or twice a week having him have situations like this where he's pacing instead of cantering, but we just try to work through it and we try to get him back into the canter as opposed to just stopping. I have to say sometimes I do stop and regroup, which I think I would have done that on this day, but she said that she would prefer me to try to get him to just get back into canter without stopping, so that's what we were working on. And we did a little bit of posting the trot or canter to help him, but he just really struggled with the right lead, at least when we warmed up today, and I'm not really sure what it was about it that was hard for him, but we did do some right leads, I think, at the end of this ride when we were jumping, and he was fine. So I just don't know if he just wasn't warmed up or what, or I don't know. So anyways, that was what I wanted to show you guys with his right lead. It's not always great, and I have a lot of rides where I have to deal with that kind of pacing. Right, and then we did some more extensions across the diagonal at the trot, and I'm thinking we did more leg yields as well, and getting him just, bending through his rib cage and getting him lifting and not being so quick up front. That was kind of what she had me starting, and then from there she wanted me to go back into my left lead, but what happened was I think I didn't have him bent and off that leg very well, so he picked up the wrong lead. But anyway, so we get back into the left lead and we did a little bit more canter this way, which for whatever reason is his more balanced way. I'm not really sure why. We did a couple leg yields, I think, to this on the left lead. Yeah, it looks like I'm leg yielding over from the gate, and then did a little bit of a soft 2-point. I think she's just trying to play with seat positions and seeing which works best for him. Originally sitting far back for him worked really well, but I think now she wants to see if I can get into a lighter seat and have him continue cantering on his own. Because ultimately, like she keeps telling me in my lessons, the goal is that I just kind of set him and forget him. So like I kind of set him up for what I want him to do, and he just kind of falls into that feel, and I'm able to just leave him alone. So that's kind of what we're working towards in our lessons. Alright, and then we started with the single fence. She just wanted me to trot in, canter out, and then we would turn left and right depending on which direction she directed me to go. And that's kind of a lot of what we do, like you've seen when I practiced jumping, is we trot in and she puts a placement pole. I never know how far out a placement pole should go, so I never put them, but they really help Happy a lot, and they help me a lot. So this first one we were working on getting him to the pole, and then I would sit down and kind of just let him come up to me, because she's trying to get him to jump a little more up and round as opposed to jumping out and flat. So that's kind of what we've been working on with our jumping with her. And so here you see I turned right, and we're going to come back around off of the right turn and do the same thing. So it's really quite fun doing it this way, because I feel like it's like putting every small little piece together, as opposed to before when we were jumping, I felt like it was just all the big pieces thrown at us at once, and like we didn't have any of the small details. And I feel like this kind of exercise brings back the small details, and it gives us a lot of confidence in what we're doing over fences. So I really, really like jumping with this new coach. And funny enough, if you watched the vlog prior to this, I actually worked on this line because I wanted to start working on lines, and then we worked on it in our lesson. So she set this up with the trot in, and then we wanted to see how many strides we could get before we get to this pile of poles, and it was a very awkward 7. And it's really supposed to be a 6, I think, and I think you could do it in 5, honestly. So we started working on getting him to this cross rail and then pushing on the other side and saying, let's go get the 6. And it got to a point where the 6 actually started coming up almost short, especially when she set it as a fence. So it was a really cool exercise to do, to play with, because I don't feel like we ever really got to a point where we could ask for distances from Happy. And it was interesting to try it from this perspective of, once I got over the fence, to just, once I landed, to ask for more than ask for it before. So here I would ask, come on, let's go. And we got this 6, and it almost felt short, which was funny. So she liked that we did that, because she wants him to really start reaching up and jumping over and not jumping long and flat, like I said before. So I think getting a little bit of a deeper distance to me is actually probably more of a correct distance in general, which is kind of what she told me in my lesson. It was kind of like, you're so used to jumping with a long and flat jumper that any distance that's not long and flat is going to feel like a chip or short. And she's like, it's not. And you need to start looking for that particular quote unquote shorter distance feeling for you, because that will get him to start actually jumping up to you as opposed to out from you. So it's just really fun to get this kind of feedback and to understand why we're doing the exercises the way we're doing them. But this one I think was our really good one. Yeah, this one was a good one. He kept landing on the wrong lead, not really sure why, but he was definitely coming out of it and picking up the correct lead afterwards. So I wasn't too upset by it. I think that'll be something that we will eventually work on in the future, but nothing to worry about now. And then here she wanted to see us come down to a long approach and see what he would do. And he actually did really well. He waited and saw a distance and waited for it and faded to that distance, which she, after I jumped that, she goes, you should be really happy with that. That was really nice. I was like, yeah, I was. I wish that he hadn't been like halfway pacing cantering, but yes, I was very happy that he listened and we got through that one really nicely. And here we have the most embarrassing part of the entire lesson, when Happy got so off balance that he paced the entire line and jumped from there. And the coach was just like, yeah, that wasn't his best one. And I was like, nope. And I felt so utterly embarrassed. I get so embarrassed whenever Happy paces and gets off balance. And I think it's something I need to work on and not be so hard on myself about. But we tried again, and I think this is where we ended because he was just so good and it felt really, really good. So we came down through here and then we went back and did the line, and he just felt really, really good. Here she wanted me to pace, which I agree with, so our post I agree with because it helped him to get back under himself and not get so flat. But he did really good on this last line. And after we finished, we wrapped up and she said, you know, I think that the next time we have a one-day show, you should come and do the cross-rail schooling classes, and it doesn't really matter if you just go in there and trot everything. She's like, I think it might be good for you guys to build some confidence and do that. So we'll see if I do that. I'm still really scarred from our last show experience, the Christmas show, which if you haven't seen that, I will link the Christmas show here. And I will also put it in the description. It was really embarrassing and it was really, really difficult. So not sure we'll do that, but that was our lesson. I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog.